introducing Grant Blanks from Harvard University, Nico Young from Northern Arizona, and Kai Robinson from Stanford University. And I don't think any of us are surprised to see the three of you joining us here on the stage today. But I wondered, coming into a championship meet like this, how this started for you guys. You and your coaches sat down at the beginning of the season knowing the goal was to end up here. How did you think about and talk about putting together your season and the races that would get you there? We'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all starts in June. Sat down with Coach Gavey and write out our plan for the mileage and the workouts throughout the summer. And it's always a really long summer just putting in those miles. Thankfully, I had some teammates to share miles with in Boston this summer, and yeah, just excited to be here because that's what it's all about. Best weekend of the year.
Thank you, Nico.
Yeah, I think I feel like we've got this process pretty down by now throughout cross country. Kind of made a few tweaks, but pretty much kind of doing similar things that we did last year, and I think yeah, it's been a really great fall so far.
For me, I feel like I raced pretty deep into the summer, and so my build-up was a little bit delayed compared to some of the guys, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because I sat down with my coach early in the year and kind of discussed, hey, last year we peaked maybe a little bit too early, and so for us this time it was making sure that we're peaking at the right time, and that's today, tomorrow.
Welcome to each of you. I will open it up to the floor. If you would say your media outlet prior to asking your question, that would be fantastic. Where do we want to start?
Yeah, Jonathan Gold here from Let'sRun.com. Question for Graham. You haven't lost any races this fall. Do you feel like you've made like a significant jump from where you were fitness-wise on the track? And if so, like what do you attribute that to?
I don't necessarily think I've made any crazy jump this year. I feel like I've just gotten, I've had a little bit of luck and a lot of experience gained over the years. So just happening to win, Nutty Cone, I was really happy to win that. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm light years away from where I was last spring. Just gaining experience gaining experience, learning how to race. Stuff like that has got me to this point where I'm 4-0 right now, but that doesn't necessarily mean I should be 5-0 tomorrow. I just need to race well, race smart, and race hard.
Next.
My question's for Kai, Stanford NCAA Digital. So your teammate Charles Hicks won the race last year. Have you gotten a chance to talk to him before tomorrow? And so what did he say?
Yeah, I kind of thanked him for letting me step out of his shadow a little bit. I feel like he was always the cross country guy, but I've talked to him fairly regularly, and can always share some wisdom. So he's given me a few pointers here and there, and hopefully I can utilize them tomorrow.
Next.
Yeah, question for Kai. How do you feel like you compare as a cross-country runner versus a track runner? Are you better at one or the other? Do you prefer one or the other?
I think coming into college, I always thought I was going to be a cross-country runner. I was kind of recruited as a steeplechase guy, and then the track kind of came up on its own. So at times I think I'm a track guy, other times I think I'm a cross-country guy, and tomorrow I'm going to be a cross-country guy. I feel like that's what we've trained for today, and yeah, we'll get after it. It'll be a tough race, it'll be gritty, and I feel like the strongest guy, the toughest guy is probably going to win it.
Next. Go. Go right ahead.
Okay. Another question for Kai. Can you tell me about when you got back into training after your track season and how you've approached this season in terms of like mileage being true peaking for this meet? What were you doing in the middle? What are you doing now?
Yeah, so I think I probably finished my season track around start of August, late July. That's kind of when I found out that I was one off going to Worlds. So that kind of sucked, but it allowed me to get a few more weeks to focus on NCAA cross, and so was able to get up to mileage, get up to 95 miles a week, which is what I do, and basically hop in with the guys that started out at preseason camp and keep working. And I feel like this year compared to last year, I've stayed at that high mileage later in the season, and obviously begin to taper for this race, but I feel like I was feeling a lot more fresh this year than last.
Yeah. Did you take a summer break at all?
I got like 3 weird weeks of like jogging or like time off. It was kind of like a limbo era, but I did get some time off.
I'm sorry, you got the questions as well? Nico, so NAU has won 6 out of the last 7 team titles. So what allows y'all to keep performing at such a high level year after year?
Yeah, I think at this point, I feel like we've got like what we've been doing pretty well rehearsed at this point. So I think, this year, we've kind of been we know how to talk about this in the right way and do our best in that regard. So I think, we just have great communication from the top down and throughout our team, and I think that's what allows us to do that year after year. So.
Eric Paul from Stanford. Please, Nico, a follow up on that. One of the keys is you guys just staying so present, not even thinking about like what happened in the past. It's only that day's workout or that week's race. Like how instrumental is that everybody else can talk about dynasties and streaks and whatnot, and you guys are just so laser focused on the present, which is obviously this week and tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we're very good at that. We kind of never mentioned a national championship, so I feel like that's got to be part of it. We're very good at being in the moment, like you said, and focusing on each workout, each day, each race. So, I think that's what's brought us here in a great place.
How would you describe just the overall energy? Obviously a lot of the same guys, but obviously when you have the blessing of bringing in a guy like Aaron, like how would you, for someone that's never watched the team race until tomorrow, how would you describe just the overall energy of the group this season?
I think it's a bit lighter than in the past years, which I think is a good thing. I think we're really excited and really confident and ready for this. Bringing in people like Aaron has been fantastic for our team. He brings a whole different energy to the team, which I think we've welcomed really nicely, and it's fitted really well. So,
Chris Chavez with Insidious Mag. So you guys got to run the course today. I guess what are your impressions of it, and how does it compare to some of the other courses that you guys have raced on this year?
Definitely harder than I thought. I was a little out of breath on that pre-race. Maybe it's the air quality, maybe it's the fitness, but I hope not. But yeah, it's a tough course, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's really pretty. And I think it's going to make for an amazing race tomorrow. There's a lot of opportunities for different moves, a lot of different parts of the course that'll be interesting to watch. So, really looking forward to it. It might be my favorite course yet.
Yeah, I think it's fast, but it's also honest. I like the amount of hills and turns. I think it's laid out pretty well. I liked it. I haven't raced it yet, but I'm excited to tomorrow.
I feel like we were kind of lucky we got to give it a little trial earlier in the season, and so you get to know a little bit of like the intricacies, like the lines, which is nice because sometimes the best line here might not be the best line because the footing can be somewhat dubious at times, and so I feel like over 10K might get strung out a bit more and keep an honest race like these guys said.
Yeah, Isaac with Insidious Mag. For all three of you, what's your preference from a course standpoint? Do you prefer the flat grass tracks, or are you more purist and like the more challenging, like true cross-country type courses?
I think the rolling hills are a lot more fun. I guess like the common consensus is that those flat tracks aren't really cross-country courses in essence. So I do like this course, and I would classify it as a true cross-country course. although I've seen some of the courses in the UK, and I know they'd probably laugh at this.
I think coming off of last year, it's definitely a bit different, but I think this is kind of like a good middle ground, kind of flat course, hilly course. I mean, regardless of what it is, it's just gonna happen how it's gonna happen. But I think, I think an honest course like this is pretty good.
I think if you asked me probably 6 months ago, I'd definitely go for the flat track course, just because when you're in track season, you do appreciate not having to run any hills, but we've been certainly working on hills, so I'll take a tough course in cross country.
Cornwall, low track miles of it. Graham, can you speak to your development since graduating high school to now?
Yeah, it's been pretty rapid, I would say. I mean, my high school coach is pretty good about holding me back, and not just myself, but I've had a lot of teammates in high school that went on to college and did pretty well because this Coach Neville Anderson, divides our training such that we could improve later on. But I've had a lot of good opportunities to like test myself and to improve. I mean, I had a nice gap year between graduating high school and coming into college, which is really stressful freshman year. So just to get like a full year, I got to train at altitude. I mean, I get to move it onto the plane of a D1 coach, train with D1 runners. So it's not all surprising that I got so much better so quickly, just because of how much better my situation was. But it's certainly been a fun ride. Been a little bit different than I would have thought, and I'm super grateful to have gotten where I am.
Follow-up for Graham, on that gap year, can you be a little bit more specific about why you chose to take it and where you were based, what you were doing during that year right after graduation?
I mean, it was honestly just the reason we decided to take it was just the Ivy League's decision to basically keep classes like online, keep schooling like hybrid, so you don't attend class. You could go to school if you wanted to, but you could use it to stay in your dorm all the time. And then the actual athletic conference was essentially shut down. And you can't use fifth years at Ivy League schools. So when I signed up to run at Harvard, I wanted to use all 4 years in the Crimson uniform. So I didn't really realize the implications at the time. But Acer Iverson, he texted me like a day before the deadline and just mentioned to me that basically everyone on the team was taking a gap year. So that made for a stressful 12 hours with my parents. But I think we made the right decision in deferring a year. And then the year was amazing. One of the best years I've had in my few 21 years of life. We stayed in Fort Collins for a couple of weeks, and then this was all just driving out with some of my friends and stuff. Stayed in Airbnbs. Definitely went over the recommended capacity of the Airbnbs, but don't tell the owners. Stayed in in this weird attic Airbnb in Flagstaff for a month or two, and then we went back out in the spring with a few more guys and found a house there. But like I said, super privileged, super lucky to be able to do that. And it was just an incredible time getting to train out there. Got to see a lot of pros, and then thankfully there's some great meets getting put on not too far away in Los Angeles by Sound Running. So yeah, that was a really good time.
Would each of you guys be able to share what you're studying in school as a major, and if there's been any benefit to your running because of what you're learning?
That was good. So I do economics and philosophy. I guess from economics, cost-benefit analysis, maybe with deciding when to go or not, something like that. Philosophy, I'm taking a philosophy of motion course right now, so learning to try to control your emotions on the course before the race, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I came in as an exercise science major because I thought that fit in well with the sport, but I changed to nutrition my freshman year at the end of it. So I feel like it fits in pretty well. I've used quite a bit of things that I've learned for the sport. I'm also very interested in it personally, so I feel like it's a great fit.
I'm studying management science and engineering, and I don't think there's really much of an overlap there, but there's certainly harder courses you could be doing at Stanford, so maybe a little bit less workloads benefiting me.
All right, guys, that's all we have time for the men's side of things.